Welcome to Dark Horse Matters, the show about people, their passion, and their pursuit toward happiness. I'm your host, Bev Matsuyoshi, and my passion is people and their passions. I love talking to people about their drives and their mission in life. I truly believe that everybody deserves to live a purpose-filled life, and it's the gateway to ultimate and true happiness. So with that being said, previously, I have interviewed a man on the show by the name Dr. Richard Downs. He is just a passionate and crusader and pioneer of a man. I respect this man so much. And he, come to find out, we have people in common in the dental world. And if you scroll down the episodes even further, I had previously interviewed a man named John Harris, who inspires me as well. And they work for the same company called Fortune Management. So you guys have all heard before the value that I have gotten from this company, and what I have learned has just impacted my life in such positive and profound ways. So today's guest, I cannot wait to share with you because he impacted me a lot in what I have learned in my career, and it's helped me in my personal life. And I just can't wait to pick his brain on this show so he can provide that value for you as well. So if you are a returning viewer of this show, thank you so much for the support. And if you're new to the show, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you can be notified every time I post a new video, because every guest I have on this show has a crusade story that I just can't wait to share with you guys because it's so inspiring. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Paul Bass of Fortune Management.
Thank you. That's great. The little tambourine, I love that. That's fantastic. So greetings to all your viewers, and Bev, thank you for the opportunity to be interviewed and be a part of the wonderful work that you're doing. So here I am, fire away.
Yes, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to the audience today and talk to me, because I'm so privileged to have been coached by you in the past. Like, it's just made such a huge impact. And I feel like people like you and Dr. Downs, like you guys just, you guys vibrate on a different frequency than most people. Like you're big thinkers, and I love surrounding myself with people like that because it just helps me, my brain try to work in that same level and that same way, and it's very inspiring. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Well, you're more than welcome. Thank you for the opportunity. And Dr. Downs, while you're touching on Dr. Downs, he is an amazing human being. I call him professor. He's the professor. He knows
really
all the science behind everything that we do. And I've been affiliated with and connected with Dr. Downs since the mid 80s. So it's been a long time. I coached his office for a long time. He's now sold his practice and he's no longer practicing. But he's a true friend. He's an amazing force in dentistry. Actually, at one point, I think he was, I'm pretty sure he was the president of the Academy of General Dentistry for the state of Iowa. So he's a great guy.
Yes, very intelligent person. And I just want to touch on the fact that you are the co-founder of Fortune Management. I just want, before we actually get into that, let's kind of just go and give a background. So can you tell the audience like where you're from, where are you from, and where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in East Tennessee. The town that I lived in throughout junior high and high school was Oak Ridge, Tennessee, the atomic city, where a lot of the work was done for the creation of the atomic bomb. Lots of people have mixed emotions about, but it stopped a war, in my opinion, for sure. That's always a good thing if you figure out how to stop a war. Growing up in Oak Ridge was really unique because Oak Ridge, and this is not known by many people, but it was a small community. The name of the community was Wheat, like 500 people living there. And they selected this site because it was between the Smoky Mountains and the Cumberland Plateau. And the belief was that if any enemy aircraft were trying to, destroy this place, they're going to have a hard time finding it because fly right over it, and then it's gone. You're blocked by mountains on both sides. So what was really unique about it, though, is that small community is where they chose to build these nuclear plants, and the population went from about 500 to a little over 100,000 in Mach in speed. They built these facilities, and the people they brought in were mostly people, engineers, from the Big Ten schools, the Ivy League schools. And so what made it a really unique city, and still is to some extent, is that it's in the middle of Tennessee, right? It's a southern state. But yet, most of my friends growing up in high school were from the north. And we didn't really think about north, south, whatever. But my wife often teases me now. And Judy says, you really are not a southern boy. And I said, well, I am a very much a southern boy. I just have a lot of northern friends. That was their roots, but they're southerners now too, because they live in Oak Ridge. It was a great place to grow up. Very unique place.
Wow. I've still have not been to Tennessee. I live in Atlanta, Georgia now, when Tennessee is not that far from here. It's on the list for me to go and just explore out there and to see.
Well, by when are you going to do that?
By when? Oh, maybe a little bit after COVID kind of dies down a
Oh,
little
after
bit.
COVID? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know, maybe in a year or two, I'll go ahead and
all
venture
right.
out
Well,
and
put
do
it
that.
put it on your goals list.
Yes, for
Aspiration you
sure.
just made publicly, so now you got to stick to it.
So this is a question I like to ask all the dentists. I've been in dentistry almost my whole life, and my first job ever when I was 15 was at a dental office, and I literally got the job while I was laying down in the chair getting in my exam.
That's
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah, that's how I got my foot in the door in the field of dentistry. But every time I encounter a dentist, I love asking this question because I'm so intrigued that the answers are so random and just very intriguing to me. So, why, out of all the career paths you could have chosen, why did you choose to be a dentist?
Well, you and your listeners will probably think this is a little bit a little bit it's an interesting answer. Okay, it's not deep, it's not thought out. When I grew up in Oak Ridge, we lived on a corner, and there was a lane that came in, and so there was a house right behind ours that faced the lane. That house was owned by a dentist and his family, and the driveway was on our side of the house. They didn't have an inside garage or didn't use it. I don't recall there was one, but he would come home from work, park his car right there. I look out the window every time, and what I always see is a brand new Cadillac. And I thought that was like the picture of success, right? My parents did not have a great deal of money. They worked extremely hard. Very, very just incredible parents. I was blessed to have them, but it was just the superficial, I suppose, impression on my part that, oh, well, to make a lot of money, you need to be a dentist. Quite frankly, that's exactly where it started for me.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that, it's just funny how, when people get exposed to what kind of just inspires them, it's just a
Right.
different story every single time. But so as a dentist, you're very successful in your practice. So while you're, doing that part of your life and your career, like what inspired you? Like what led to co-founding Fortune Management? Like what part of your career did that, manifest?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was like all dentists coming through school, and sadly, it's still this way in most dental schools. We had great professional training, but we had absolutely zero business training. I didn't know how to grow a practice. I didn't know how to interact with patients in such a way that they were speaking to their values, and they saw the need to have their values met by accepting certain treatment. We just did dentistry, right? And although my practice was always in the top 10% in the country, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. But what I did notice was at the end of the month, there was typically a month left at the end of the money. And so even though the numbers were high, the overhead was high. And as a result, I knew I needed some help, but I didn't know where to go for it. And then all of a sudden, I get a call from the late Dr. Ken Keller, who passed away recently in Nashville, one of my dear, dear friends. He had joined a company called Quest Seminars International. And he was one of the national national seminar leaders going all over the U.S. and Canada delivering seminars. There were like 4 or 5 national seminar leaders at that point in time. He called me. He said, "Hey, I need you. I've gone through a course, and I'd like to get you into it because you're perfect for it, and it will just make a huge difference in your life. So I want to invite you to a seminar." I said, "Oh, great. What courses are we going to play?" So I'm thinking, take the golf clubs, right? I said, "Well, it's not a golf club." It's not a golfing experience, but I'm telling you, it's extremely powerful. So you'll find this very interesting. In fact, your listeners who are dentists will find this very interesting as well. So I went to my very first Quest seminar, Dallas, Texas. At that point in time, you didn't even bring your staff. You're going to find this hard to believe, Biff. It was just me and my spouse in there for 3 days. Now, this is in April of 1982. By June of 1982, my practice had doubled.
Wow.
Most people, I mean, how outlandish is that? I was in the top 10% in the country that doubled in 60 days. I'm like, wow, they've got my attention now. Well, by June, we were, doing twice the amount of productivity, patients, services delivered. By December, it doubled again. They really had my attention. And so, kind of interesting, we decided as a team that we were taking our courses. They were all over the place. There was one in Atlanta. We had 4 sessions, one in Atlanta, one in Reno, one in Dallas. The first one was in Dallas. We had another one in Phoenix. That was the 4 cities we went to. It was not regionalized at that point. When I go to the second, third, and fourth sessions, I had to fly my entire team there. Yeah, that cost a lot of money. But the growth was just by far, in a way, exceeded any costs that we incurred in actually taking that. That course changed my life. It changed many dentists' life. I can't even begin to tell you the difference it made. And it was all about how you think. Of course, there were specific systems that we were taught, for example, scheduling, how to do it effectively. But more than anything else, it was just getting your head screwed on.
Right.
And it was just amazing. And to think that I came back from that seminar, my staff didn't go, but just what I shared with them in staff meetings, and the practice doubles in 60 days.
That's incredible.
It is truly incredible. So,
and it just goes to show how powerful the human mind is.
Yes.
I mean, it can make or break you,
Yes.
like it's that simple and complicating at the same time, because you have to be really intentional about your thoughts.
Yes. Yes.
And it can just make a huge impact in not only your life, but everyone surrounding you. It's just incredible.
Yes, for sure.
So, how, after your education and your success through this program, how did you, because I understand that you co-founded this company with none but the famous Tony Robbins. How did you?
And there were actually a couple other people as well. But yes, Tony's one of the co-founders. Yes.
But how did you meet them? How did these create co-founders of this company come together? These big thinking minds.
Well, 2 of the other co-founders besides Tony are Dr. Gary McLeod. He, in fact, was one of the co-founders of Quest. Oh. So there was an evolution whereby, and I'll tell you how that happened momentarily, but there was an evolution whereby Quest simply became Fortune Management. We formed a partnership with Tony Robbins. But how that happened, by the way, the other co-founder is a lady by the name of Rene Schubert. He and Gary were both living in Reno, Nevada at that point. We had other people who helped with all of this, but as far as the specific founders, those are the 4 co-founders of management. How did I meet Tony is a whole different story, but it's a cool story. It was probably 1987. So I'd been in the Quest organization about 5 years. I actually, by that point in time, I was chairman of the board for Quest. I was flying around doing seminars and still practicing. I had no life, but I practiced Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'm gone Friday, Saturday, and I'm back again, back again practicing dentistry. But it was important that it was not just some theoretical way to make practice work. I had no choice but to make the practice work. So I think it was probably around 1987 that my roommate from college, from the fraternity house in Knoxville, Tennessee, Jim Hennig gave me a book. This is a gift. He was down for one of our reunions. He gave me this book, and I looked at it. The name of the book was Unlimited Power, Anthony Robbins. And it was a hardcover. You know, the hardback books have this paper cover around them, right? So I flipped it to the backside. I saw a picture of this 25-year-old Tony Robbins walking on fire down Fifth Avenue in New York. And I'm like, what is this all about? So I just turned it over. I set it on my bedside table, and it just sat there. I've been embarrassed to say, probably sat there for 2 or 3 months. And then finally, and every week or so, I pick it up and look at that again. I say, I took, physiology in dental school, all the basic sciences. Medical school and dental school is all the same instructor typically. And so I knew that tissue on, hot coals that are anywhere from 1,500 and 1,800 degrees burns tissue. How is it that he does that? He doesn't get burned. Well, that's a whole different chapter. But the point is, I realized when I'm just thinking about this, who in the world is he? He knows something I don't know, and I want to know what that is. So I called Robbins Research International, and I asked them to send me a copy of his schedule for the next 12 months, like where the cities are going to be doing seminars. Every single day for the next 12 months on his schedule was a day that he was delivering seminars. I would have flown anywhere. I was really fascinated and intrigued by this guy's, work he was doing. And so the bottom line is, every single seminar he had scheduled, I had a conflict because I was also doing a seminar on those days. So I called him back and I said, I'm just curious. I don't have a match on the schedule. Is there any way he could come and do a seminar for me? And they said, sure, he'd be happy to do that. So I actually set up a seminar in Atlanta, brought in about 50 of my doctors who I was in a coaching relationship with. Tony's whole team came in and they delivered the UPW Unlimited Power Weekend, and it was truly, truly amazing. The people who were in that room, and it was mostly doctors and their spouses, they're all their lives transformed right there. And the bottom line is, there's so much to his work. I would just tell your readers, or your listeners rather, pick up the book Unlimited. Just start right there. He has other bestsellers, but that's a place to start.
Wow.
While we were there, well, let's talk about purpose, okay? And by the way, I don't claim credit for this conversation I'm going to tell you about. I think it was divinely driven. I know that I'm divinely driven. And God got this done. The second day, it started on a Friday evening. On Saturday, I've met this guy. I picked him up at the airport. I've known him for a couple hours in the evening that on Friday. I actually got in there about 2 o'clock in the morning. Firewalk is the first night. So then on Saturday, we're in seminar for all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Great material. And so I asked Tony and his wife if they'd like to go to lunch. And we were at the Atlanta Perimeter Center Marriott. And there's the Perimeter Center Mall right across the way. So we just got in my car. So let's just go over here I think it was Houston's or Fridays or whatever. So we're going to go over, we're going to have lunch. We're pulling out of the parking lot of the Marriott Perimeter Center. And this just came flowing out of my mouth. And I've already told you where it came from. I did not think about these plans. I said, Tony, what's the purpose of your organization? And he said, to bring us the greatest transformation, the largest number of people in the shortest period of time. And just rattle it off. Like, okay, this guy's driven. Then the next question, would it further the fulfillment of your purpose and your vision to have a branch in health? And how does anybody say no to that?
Right.
He didn't say, oh, yeah, I'd love to do that. I don't recall a specific response, but we, at that moment, began immediately taking the steps that would take Quest Ventures Incorporated and Robbins Ventures Incorporated and merged into a partnership. And we talked about all kinds of different names. And Tony's wife actually suggested one name. We were at a meeting in Hawaii. And she said, well, how about Fortune? It might be a really great, program for people who would like to have one. Kind of resonated with us. And so we said, all right, let's call it Fortune Management. So here we are. But that's how it all started. And, I look back and it seems like 2 weeks ago, but that was actually almost 33 years ago that we co-founded Fortune Management. But it was an evolutionary thing. We brought all the Quest Seminars technology with us and added to it Tony's technology, and it was
just two powerful, just very powerful forces coming together. That is so exciting to hear.
Yeah, it was very exciting. It's very exciting every time I tell it.
Yes, and what I love is your conviction that you got together with Tony and you were able to just ask without fear, like that's powerful in itself. You just kind of tell him what you're thinking. And like you said, how can he say no to that? Just amazing, amazing. So
asking questions is a key. I wasn't telling him things.
Yes.
I was asking him, right?
Yeah.
Those two questions.
Very really powerful.
Nice to deal.
So during that time in the beginning of Fortune Management, like what, if you were to verbalize exactly what you were passionate about then, like what was this driving force in you? Like what, if you had to verbalize what it is?
Well, it was twofold. The driving force within me was I love helping people. I told you that my initial reason to go to dental school was I thought it'd be a great way to make money because money had a bit of scarcity in our lives. We weren't poor, but there was never extra money laying around, right? So initially it was just, hey, I'd like to make money someday. But it rapidly morphed into, when I got into dentistry, serving people and treating people the way they deserve to be treated. So, that just makes all the difference. Please take me back to the question you just asked because I kind of got off the track with that.
No, you answered it just perfectly. I was just said if you were to verbalize what you're passionate about, and that's what it is, serving people.
Well, I was passionate about the difference it made and how quickly, lightning-like speed, that people are able to totally transform the dental practice. And that always has juiced me. It juices me to today. When actually now, as you know, out medicine, I actually stepped up at the company meeting about a year and a half ago and said, okay, I'm going to take on sourcing the medical division of Fortune Management. And so you may or may not get into that before we're finished. That's how it all started.
Wow, incredible. So I have the privilege of experiencing Fortune Management's teaching multiple times in my life. I was in my early 20s. I experienced working at an office that was going through it. And I was coached by Bernie. Just an incredible experience. I was so young at the time and, just a deer in the headlights kind of with everything, drinking everything through the fire hose, of information. But I didn't, that didn't continue throughout my career as a dental assistant. So when you're not exposed to something over and over again, you tend to kind of just go back to your old ways of thinking,
right?
But I was fortunate enough to get exposed to Fortune Management again in the office that I work at now. And it has just been so transformational. Just watching the doctor, go from the person he was into the leader he is today, just amazing transformation to see, and the staff as well. And the office is just growing, and it's just a really exciting experience. When I first applied for the position at this job in Lilburn, Georgia, I wrote on the top of my resume, like, I want to be a part of an office that is in the growth phase. I want to see that process of an office growing. And that was what I was passionate about in starting my career in dental hygiene in Atlanta. I wanted to make sure I was a part of something like that. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I've temped at so many offices. I've worked in 3 different states, and I've worked for many different dentists, and everybody always said that they wanted that. But, when it comes to actually putting their, money where their mouth is, like it I didn't see it happening, but in this experience, I've seen it, and it's just been so powerful. So I really thank you. I feel so lucky that I was able to be coached directly by you. Like, that is just.
Well, go back to the beginning. You were first coached by Bernie. I just want to say something. Bernie has been our CEO for a number of years, and he has made such a difference. He's out there doing seminars and coaching just the same way the rest of us are, but simultaneously, I'm on the board of directors. He is our CEO. And we now have like 120, 125 coaches, executive level coaches all across North America. And he deserves a ton of credit because it's been his vision, how he went about building that type of network. So you started out with a fabulous coach, a visionary man. Gary McLeod was a very visionary man. So your roots started right where they needed to, right?
Yes, yes. So I just wanted to talk about how you inspired me in my journey specifically, because I remember going to the Wealth Mastery Training University when I was being coached by John Harris. And I just remember just being so inspired after that 2-day seminar that we went to. And it kind of just inspired a new chapter in my life. And during the pandemic, when I had the 2 months, just to stay home and kind of really reflect on my life, what next? I wanted to think,
right.
I love being a dental hygienist. I just love it. But, can I do this until I'm, old? Like, do I want to do this, full time until I'm in my, time to retire? I was like thinking about what else can I increase this whole purpose-filled life of mine. And I just, when I looked at it, I've been kind of behind on saving for my retirement. I just been inspired, to really take a look at my finances. And I had the privilege of starting my own business in financial services. And that kind of just added to my education. I even went through the program with Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, which was an incredible experience as well. But when I saw you teach that seminar with Wealth Mastery, I remember you introducing me to that concept of compounding interest during that seminar. And I am not a mathematical person. I'm more of a artistic and conceptual person. So I was like, "Ooh, this is interesting," but I still kind of just didn't really quite understand. But when I started this side gig, with financial services, I really, really understood, that just it was simplified in a way of understanding the power of just saving money. And people are just so conditioned in their life to really go the opposite way, spend money before you save, So
absolutely.
But I just remember what really I took away from that seminar that you spoke at was this one exercise that you gave us was you made us write down and just really dig deep into what your dreams are. And it was just mind-blowing to hear people share, because most people in the room couldn't even do it. Like, they could not dream. They didn't allow themselves to dream. They're like, "Oh, I don't need all this stuff," or like, I'm a simple person. Those are the excuses to not think big, and it just kind of blew my mind. I sat there and I was just like, if there were no limits, what would I dream, And I just found that to be so powerful. And I remember what I came up with. I was thinking, someday I want to have such abundance of wealth, if I could have that, to the point where what you want is not about flaunting your things that you can buy and afford. It's about having so much wealth that you can give freely to others, And I was just thinking about what the charities that I could create that could help people, if you had that kind of abundance. And I just found that so powerful. Thank you so much for that.
Well, you're more than welcome. I want to mention something to you about geometric compounding. You may not know this. I think you have heard it. Near Einstein's death, one of the things that Einstein said, near his death was, I don't think I even at this point can truly comprehend the power of geometric compounding. It's amazing what happens. You just invest money wisely. You start out with a small amount. We all start with a small amount, right? But over time, it's amazing what happens. So geometric compounding is huge. It makes a huge difference for people to stop. By the way, that question you asked, I would have called that a power question. The question you basically asked was, and I'm going to paraphrase, if there were no limits, if anything were possible, what would be on my drawing board today? And most people don't think that way. Most people are just stuck in the moment, get the kids to school, come back, go to work, come back, get put meal together, yada, yada, put them, give them baths, put them to bed, yada, yada, yada. And then I'm exhausted, right? Well, we have to stop sometimes and just think and look forward and think, if I could accomplish anything in my life, what would it be? Because if I don't decide what it's going to be, it is not going to happen. True?
True.
So you gotta stop for a moment and do that. And everything is, our company teaches a thing called CANI, which you're well aware of, capital C, capital A, capital N, capital I for your viewers. And that basically stands for constant and never-ending improvement. How do you get from where you are to wealthy? How do you get from where you are to co-founding a company like Fortune? How do you get there? Is one step at a time. How do you run a marathon? You just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And most people just don't realize what they're truly capable of.
Exactly.
You have to stop and think a little bit. There's enough vision to dream something, right? In any of the areas of life, your health, your relationship. What do you see as possible? And there's absolutely a way to do it all. You need to become a student of how to get results.
Right. And, just, the thought, that whole concept of compounding interest with money, right. It's the same with your efforts toward your goals, like you push that boulder up the mountain, if you stop right. and get distracted, you're gonna have to start all over again. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's very powerful. And like you were talking about earlier, it's all mindset and just understanding how capable everyone is. And it's all in your mind, if you can just, prep, you have to exercise it like a muscle.
That's exactly right. And people often ask me, well, how do I start? Where do I start? Well, you start where you are. I had a conversation with a young man who does some work for me outside around our home just yesterday. When I gave him his check, I asked him, and he knows me well enough to know that he can trust what I'm telling him. I asked him, do you have a Roth IRA? And he said, well, I've heard of it. My dad's mentioned it a couple of times. I said, so I just went through every time you get a check. Here's what I do when I get paid. 10% goes to the church. And any charities you can donate to as well, obviously. I make certain that I tithe consistently. And 10% goes into your future. Put it in a Roth IRA and live on the other 80%. If we can't live on 80% of the personal revenue that we have coming in, then we're living above our means. So all we have to do is increase our means or cut back on the expenses. Balance that out. And it truly works.
Very, very powerful. And it sounds so simple when you say it like that, but I don't know, I just feel like we're conditioned in our lives to just instant gratification, like.
Right. Yeah.
But one of the things that I really took away from the program, and I don't even know if we're allowed to share this, but I hope that you are allowed to just enlighten the audience a little bit about this, was one of the things that I took away was the 5 life masteries.
Right.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that, on what those things are? And is there 6 now? I feel like it started at 5.
There are 6.
Okay.
There are 6. Yeah. The 6th one is career/purpose.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And really, when we're living our purpose, then our career should match up with that. So in other words, if someone is in a specific quote unquote job, and that has nothing to do with what their real passion is, they need to start thinking about how to transition into, as you did, into a profession where they're able to fully self-actualize their potential.
Right.
But
How relevant is that to this show? Because that's what the show is about. But can you enlighten the audience of what those masteries are? And it just made such huge sense to me that
right,
you can, just be aware of each of these
yes,
categories and focus intentionally on being better in each one.
yes,
It just makes a huge
yes,
difference in minimizing the drama and stress in your life, and it just leads to peace and happiness, which is all what we are striving toward achieving.
right, exactly. Well, so first of all, as far as I'm concerned, one of the key place to start, master our emotions. Find a way to ask yourself questions like, what's great about them? There's a challenge. What's great about it? Well, it'll make me grow. Well, I'll probably discover things I didn't know previously. I mean, we have to first of all understand that everything that happens in our life serves us. It all works toward good, and it serves us. So we have to learn first of all how to master our own emotions. Secondly, mastering our relationship. You'll find as I'm going through these that how we master our own emotions affects all the other ones, right? So how about relationships? About how can we master our relationships? There's tons of technology that we teach, and you can find it lots of places on how to make your relationships stronger. How about mastering your physical body? So most people, all you have to do is go, sit at a mall and just watch America walk by, and it's appalling the level of health that the average American has. But that's a choice. It's all a choice. You may not know this. I had personally made a declaration in June about 5 years ago that I was going to do minimum 30 minutes aerobics every single day, no matter what. And I'm working on the fifth year right now, 1,500 in like, I don't know, or 15 or 20 days where I am. And it doesn't matter if I'm on the road and it requires that I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get that done, to get cleaned up and ready for the seminar, get my bags packed because they're going to be taking me from the seminar to the airport. I've got to figure out what time the wake up call is. But guys, this is not the dress rehearsal on any of these things. And if you don't have your health, where does the energy come from to climb the hill of success? Well,
Yeah.
health is one. Yes, health is another one. The one that you had mentioned that you weren't sure on number 6 is career path, right? There's also mastering your finances. So all these areas are critically important, and we just need to focus on what do we want. If a person is already they're great in controlling their emotions, they're a transformed being, and it's not a big challenge. They still should take a look at that and how can I even make it better? Because again, Kanai is one step at a time. Doesn't matter where you are. There's a next level that you just haven't been to yet. And that's true for all.
Right. And spirituality is another
Oh,
one.
absolutely. Well, spirituality, I've always said, it really does not belong in the sticks. It's actually the overriding one that's not maybe how you got 5. Because when I'm teaching this, I'll usually say spirituality is, where did you come from? How did you end up here? I've often heard people ask Tony in seminars, do you believe in God? And Tony says, well, let me say it this way. For me to think that all the magic in this world, magic of genetics, childbirth, just think about all the things that we know in science, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to think that all of this just happened when 2 planets collided in space a few million years ago, and all of it fell just perfectly in order. Think of it this way: it would be like an explosion in Webster's dictionary manufactured, and all of a sudden you blow up the alphabet, and all the words, letters, everything's in alphabetical order are all in place. I mean, there's a designer to the design. So that's I think spirituality is what it's all about.
Yeah.
You don't feel like if your reader or your listeners don't feel that they're connected to a spiritual source, that's another one to start thinking about.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
no matter what religion you believe in or what your belief system is. There is definitely a higher power out there. You can't deny that.
Well, there's no question about it. That is true. And I personally believe all religions ultimately are teaching similar things. And God's the one who put us here. So that's my reality. And people may have, I don't want to make anybody wrong about what the reality happens to be, but that's what mine is.
So this is just amazing stuff. I want to kind of go back now to your progression in the company of Fortune Management. Tell me more, because I heard a rumor that you were, trying to evolve into involving the medical field, not just dentistry.
Oh, absolutely.
Now. So well, tell me about this.
Well, as a matter of fact, Dr. Downs is involved in this. He's doing a piece of this. As I've said, founded the Fortune Management Medical Division, which is just another division of our company. We have hygiene mastery, we have veterinary mastery. The truth of the matter is, every area of healthcare, there needs to be a program or a mastery. Well, there are something like 170,000 dentists in the United States. There are 1 million physicians. Think about that for a moment, right?
Yeah, I just think it's so important because there's such a disconnect. I experience it daily, working with patients, and there really is a huge gap there and lack of communication between the fields. And I think what you're doing is very important.
Well, medical practice per se, physicians per se, I believe they're givers. I believe they're great people. They went to school for, half their life, some of them, just to be able to take care of patients, enhance lives, save lives. So I have total respect for that. And what I would also tell you is they too got no education whatsoever in medical school about how to run a practice. So one of the first things we do with medical practices is help them create a culture, like the culture that you guys created in your practice there in Lilburn, Georgia. The culture is very simple. There's a simple way to put it together. You were there when we did that, I believe. And so that is important. And when medical practices, medical doctors, and healthcare providers hear that, they're so excited about it because it's something that was never taught to them. Culture. We also enhance what I call spirit of hospitality in medical practice. Spirit of hospitality says that every person who calls in or comes into the office is treated like one of your personal friends. Right. Those glass doors they have on the medical, you got to slide it back. Witch Hazel at the front desk doesn't even smile or look at you. You're supposed to sign in and, hand them your name. I mean, is that the way I think there's a better way for us to introduce ourselves to the public. And unfortunately, we've all got horror stories about things that happen specifically in medical practices. And one of the things that really jazzes me, and as the doctors are hearing this, they're loving it. They see what's been missing. Once you have a spirit of hospitality and a strong culture that just vibrates in your practice and the whole team's on the same page and that's all focused on you as the patient and that you're welcomed, you're listened to, heard, all of a sudden you start saying nice things about that practice around the community. Right. Well, guess what? How many medical missionaries, let's call them, need to go out from your practice back to their jobs, back to their bridge club, back to the golf course for their foursome, and they start talking a nice way about your practice. So there's this aura around your practice as a physician. And guess what happens then? You think the new patient numbers would go up or down? Yeah. People are hearing some really great things. God, that's the kind of way I'd like my family taken care of. Right. Right.
There's the new culture, patients, that culture. There's an energy about that. That's exactly right. It's just very contagious, and it's
yes, it is. Yes, it absolutely is. And obviously, more new patients comes more revenue, comes more profit, comes bonus opportunities for staff to help build it. We have to share among our team because our team is the people who are helping us grow it.
Yes, I truly believe in what you're doing. I think it's very important work that you guys are doing, and I love the idea of coming together with all the healthcare professionals. We should be working as a team. It's just surprising that it hasn't been done already.
Well,
I commend you for getting this.
Our company attempted this about probably 15 years ago. I wasn't the person who was sourcing it at that point in time. And, I guess the company or the efforts that were made didn't match what our expectations were. And so as a result, I just decided, it's going to be right. I'm the one to do this. I'm the one to set it up. It will long outlive me, but I want to make sure that the foundational pieces of this are rock solid.
Mm-hmm.
And man, is there ever a need? There's
Well,
such a huge need. And one of my early mentors, Robert Schuller, Garden Grove Community Church in Garden Grove, California, the Crystal Cathedral. One of the things he always said is the secret to success is very simple. Find a need and fill it.
mm-hmm.
And the need we know of in medicine is enormous.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing in the medical division. And by the way, if you or other people on your team in Lilburn or any of your listeners have a physician that you think would benefit from that, then, you can contact us.
Yes, for sure. And I will definitely drop, the links in the description so people can find, where to learn more about this for sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you now, like with this, this is a pretty innovative idea that you have here. Do you see, like, how far is your vision go? Is this like just nationwide, or do you see global integration happening here? Like, how far does your vision go?
Yeah, good question. The medical model in different countries around the world, it's all over the board, right? So here's what I would say. At this moment, we will be doing quite well to totally, let's say, fortunize practice of medicine in North America. And North America is a capitalistic business model. And that's really, socialism, let's just be honest, socialism has been attempted in this world 43 different times, has never succeeded in doing anything except dominating, controlling groups of people. If socialism is the answer, and I hadn't intended to get political about it, but I'm on the topic for 10 seconds. If socialism was the answer, all of the people moving north to come into this country would be moving south to the socialism. Worth thinking about. Well, in a capitalistic business model, what we're teaching flourishes. Practices grow like crazy, and they provide incredible services to the patients, and everybody wins. It's a win-win philosophy.
Yes, yes. Well, I really, really believe in what you're doing, Dr. Bass. And I just, I love that, you're a visionary person and you have that capability of thinking big. And, doctors are, and anyone in the healthcare professional are, I consider, really big center of influences. Like, you guys have influence over a lot of people because of your expertise and, what you guys have learned in school and your experiences. So it's so important, and that's what we need, is more people like you to get together and just really get people to try to be a team and work together. And who's going to benefit? Everybody. Everybody needs
everybody. Yeah,
and like you said, the
I'll tell you,
so
this world needs, and this. Thank you. The world needs more people like you, Bev. More people who have found a passion in information, dynamic, positive information that will help people grow. So I really am just impressed by what you've done. COVID, everything in life happens for a reason, and it serves, right? That's one of my beliefs. And so during COVID, you came up with this, and guess what? Here we are. Yes. And I'm sure your audience is growing and growing and growing. And, it's just exciting what's going on. And we need more difference makers like you in this world. That's for sure.
Thank you so much for that. And, like during that pandemic, even though it was such a scary and uncertain time, it really gave me the moment to stop in life and just kind of think about things. And I'm really grateful for that opportunity to have that time to do that. So it's been nothing but good ever since, for me. And I just wanted to end now this interview with, because I truly believe, Dr. Bass, that you are a very successful person, and you've achieved so much in your lifetime, and you really are the epitome of living the American dream. So what kind of advice can you give to people out there in the audience who are still searching for that purpose, that something in their life, that fire to get them driven? What kind of advice would you give to them?
What I would say to them is we don't need another pandemic to give them the opportunity to stop. We don't need another, we don't need people to go through traumatic illnesses or accidents that make them stop. We all have the ability to stop or go whenever we please. So the first thing I would say is stop. And if you're working 60 hours a week, congratulations. A lot of people would probably love to be making money 60 hours a week. Well, find a time to get away, even if it's from Atlanta out to, was it Stone Mountain? That's the name of the, yeah. Go out there, sit on top of Stone Mountain and dream. I mean, you probably don't work on Sundays. So, go to church and then go sit on the top of that mountain with a pad and dream. If anything were possible, what would you do? Well, I'd really love to do such and such. And people will end up with some pretty exciting visions. So that's one major key. I think again, for me, pray about it. People need to get in touch with their creator. So if there was something that you really wanted to make sure a seed was planted in me, Lord, tell me what it is, because here I am. I'm ready. That would probably be the two things: stop and pray. That's
Yes.
always going to be the answer in my book.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bass, for taking the time on a Sunday to talk to my audience here. I really appreciate you. So much wisdom and value. And, I personally have just been so grateful and lucky that I have experienced your teachings, in my life. And I just can't wait to see your vision come to pass. I can't wait to see it happen.
Well, I appreciate that, and I count on watching your vision for the work you're doing here come to pass, to be blessed with abundance all over North America to begin with, and perhaps all over the world. You may have international listeners or viewers at this point in time. I'm not sure, but this will grow because the work you're doing is good, it's needed, it's powerful.
Thank you so much.
Good work, great work. You are more than welcome.
So thank you, everybody, for visiting us on Dark Horse Matters, the show about people, their passions, and their pursuit toward happiness. It is so important to focus on this. And like Dr. Bass said, stop and just take a moment and breathe and really think about what that is, that true fire that is going to give you purpose in life, because that is the gateway to ultimate and true happiness. So thanks again. If you like this episode, hit the subscribe button, and really hit the bell so you can be notified every single time I post a new video. So many people out there with stories that can really, really touch all of you out there. So again, thanks for coming on the show, Dr. Bass, and see you next week. Be passionate.